What's up, everyone? Welcome into the All 22 NFL Show, the official podcast of the All 22 Fantasy Football platform. It's the only fantasy football game with full 53-man rosters, including offensive linemen, where you get to choose personnel packages and have access to PFF grading and advanced stats to make decisions each week. To learn more and sign up, go to all-22.com or go to the App Store and download the app today. People, drafts are happening. We are seeing it happen on the back end. There's, I think, 3 drafts right now that people are like very early on this that are just running. I think there's a 16-team league drafting, which is super cool. And then there's so many scheduled for June. So if you want to get in and if you want to jump into one of these drafts, I highly recommend you do it soon. The August rush is going to be massive. You want to beat those guys. You want to beat everybody there. You want to be ahead of the game, right? You want to be creating the league and getting people to join your league. That's what this is all about. Ray, how you doing, buddy?
I need the audience to help me out a little bit. If there's like those stupid clickbait videos where it's like unlock your lower back, blah, bro. Like I need to unlock my lower back. It's pretty bad. Getting to that age. So, I'm using some Tiger Balm right now. That's cool. That's good stuff. But I need to get back in the weight room. And any old tried and true tricks, I'm listening to all of them because I got to get back at it, man. I'm wasting away over here.
Well, people don't realize, like, I don't often compliment Ray, but pound for pound, he's one of the strongest people I know. So, Ray, I will tell you that the key to unlocking your back is, I think at 34, you're 34. Back squatting is heavy, is a dangerous game. It's fickle.
Non-negotiable. At least for now, still non-negotiable.
So I've been doing like little switches. So I'll do like a month of back squatting and then I'll take a month off and I'll do like front squatting or dumbbell squatting or stuff like that. And it's kept my lower back okay. I have upper back issues. So together we have like one good back and one really, really bad back. But that's what the people came for, is to hear about your back. But maybe you'll get some good suggestions. Ray, last time we spoke, we reviewed the kind of the best and worst classes, the winners and losers, if you will, of the NFL draft in the AFC. And now we wanted to do the same thing and have the same conversation for the NFC. And Ray, if I had to pick, I think the NFC did a little bit of a better job than the AFC.
Yeah, I was looking through my notes briefly because, again, we wait. It's now about 3 weeks plus from the draft. Let things settle down, kind of digest, take everything in, see what post-draft signings may or may not take place, and really sort of see how these guys can fit in. And yeah, during that time, I'm looking and I'm like, oh no, my NFC draft notes are better. They did a better job. They definitely did from top to bottom. So I agree with you there. The NFC got better.
Ray, why don't you kick it off for us? Why don't we jump into the NFC East and tell me who you had as the best draft class of the NFC East?
I wish you didn't start with me, and especially with this division, because I got a tie and everyone hates ties. But I really liked the Cowboys and the Giants draft classes. So I'll start talking about the Cowboys. Maybe you also had the Giants. I don't know. I figured you would toss it to me for the Cowboys anyway. But obviously, again, Caleb Downs to me was the best football player in the draft class, regardless of position. And they got him at pick 11. They originally had pick 12, just traded 2/5 to move up to ensure that they got their guy and that nobody else traded up in front of them to get, again, the best player in the draft. I'm all for that. Then you trade back from 20 to 23, pick up 2 fourth-round picks, and you get a pass rusher in Malachi Lawrence, which your defense also sorely needed, a really sort of explosive, good player who's just really actually pretty nuanced as a pass rusher, something that they can use right away. Obviously, they're thin on pretty much the entire defense, but obviously you get a premier position there at pass rusher with Malachi Lawrence. I like Jayshon Barham, who's a linebacker and edge, and I think he's really good at both. I actually really like him more as a linebacker, but nice, really good hybrid player. A lot of people love Devin Moore. I like Devin Moore, but in the fourth, I think it was the 4th-round pick 114. Good pick there. I even like Anthony Smith, the receiver. I just think they did a really great job, again, ensuring they got their guy and addressing their biggest needs. If you can get the best player in the draft at 11, no matter what else happens, you're off to a pretty darn good start. And I think they made a bevy of good selections even after the fact. And then your boy in undrafted free agency, Michael Trigg, the tight end there, who's getting all the hype. we'll see how that one turns out. But yeah, I think they did a really good job addressing their needs on defense, and they really needed to. That defense was historically bad. I think they did a great job there. Should I also talk about the Giants, or do you want to talk about the Giants if you had them as one of your favorites?
I did have the Giants as my favorite. So, and I think the Cowboys had a good draft. Like you said, getting the best player potentially at safety, pick 11, that's phenomenal process, right? I was a little down on their second first-round pick. I know you like the edge rusher, Lawrence. I think he's fine, but was he a difference-making guy that you want as your team's first-round pick? I think if it's my team, I'm saying, like, let somebody else take that risk and get the guy that I think is going to be kind of more of a safe prospect. I don't know. They always say it, right? You can lose the draft in the first round, but you can't win it. And I feel like taking a pick like that only can set you up for one of those. Anyway, it was a good overall draft. And Trigg, yeah, super exciting prospect. I like seeing the tight end position start to kind of rejuvenate with all this youth the past like 3 years. It's been great. And this draft class, I will say, is probably the hardest to figure out which one of these tight ends is going to hit because there were so many picked. But really exciting stuff. And again, in all 22, it's not just about which tight end is going to catch the most passes, right? Some of these ones that are kind of more of that blocking inline tight end, they actually may be more valuable for fantasy. I like the Giants as the best draft class in the NFC East. And I gave them a lot of kind of crap, right? Like I said, taking Reese, I get why you do it, but you took a linebacker as a top 5 pick, and that's a steep price to pay, right? He's now officially one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. I think he's a phenomenal linebacker prospect, so I like the player. It's just more of a value thing there for me. Same thing with their second first-round pick, Mawanoa, right? The tackle guard convert. He, to me, was maybe the best tackle prospect, but if you are planning to play him at guard, you now took a guard top 10 as well. And taking a linebacker and guard in your top 10, I think Reese is more of a can't miss. I don't know. Mawanoa to me is not a can't miss guy, and you took a guard. Again, like the Penn State guard that got taken by the Ravens, I think maybe he's a better guard than Mawanoa is going to be, right? So, like, did you even get the best guard in this draft at that pick? I don't know, right? But maybe they wanted the flexibility. I get it. And again, it's still like reinforcing your offensive line. I'm always for that. Getting a great linebacker prospect is cool. But really, to me, it was in the second and third rounds where the Giants won. And that's with your boy, the cornerback Hood. I think he's a good prospect. I didn't love him as a first-round guy, but them getting him in the second round made more sense to me. I know it was a few pick difference, right, from him being a first or a second rounder. But there is nuance there. It's how much these guys get paid. It's how long you're on the hook for them for. And again, I like that Hood was kind of gritty, right? Like in college, asked to step up as the number one corner on his team. And being able to do that and not really miss a beat is fantastic. It shows me this guy's going to be willing to work hard for them. And I've been saying it for a while. The Giants needed a cornerback 1. Do I think they got a cornerback 1? Maybe not. But it's another guy to throw in that ring and see if they can potentially get that unit to step up as a group. But it's really my favorite pick of the entire NFC East was Malachi Fields, okay? And I know that's kind of crazy to say because as a Notre Dame receiver who wasn't that fantastic with, like he didn't have a trait that I said, this is like off the charts, next level. He's a good high pointer, right? He's a good kind of jump ball go guy. But it's really the body type that the Giants were just desperately needing, right? Like it's how many drafts in a row have they gone with the skinnier, taller, leaner, fast guys? And just being honest, right? Like Jalen Hyatt's of the world, those guys don't work out in the NFL. In my opinion, they just don't, right? It's good to have them, right? A guy to take the top off, but they're really not making a difference on your team. I think Fields is a different type of player, different body size. He adds a much bigger body to that room. And I think with him and Isaiah Likely as kind of maybe your inline guys to take the seams, right? And take the head off the top, that's really different than what they had today. With Neighbors, with Darius Slayton, Darnell Mooney as the other guys to move around and be the true kind of like getting 10 catches a game. Fields is going to be that guy that truly makes defenses worry about the jump ball going deep and being a strong contested catch guy. Again, it's just about having different body types on your team, and the Giants added different body types, and I think that's a really good process for them.
Yeah, Fields wasn't the exciting receiver prospect, but for the fit of their team and what you're asking him to do and how he complements everything else, that's what makes him a great pick. I mean, on my big board, he wasn't the number one receiver on the board at that point in time, but again, the fit and what they're going to ask him to do fits perfectly. I mean, they did a great job there in day 2 and 3 of the draft. So big fan of the Giants overall draft class as well. You already touched on my favorite pick. It was Colton Hood, so I'm not going to repeat myself. The other one was Jayshon Barham. So, again, talked about those two. So, am I going to start off being negative? And I will. The Eagles were my worst draft. And I put immediately following that is that it was still a good draft. I just didn't love
I'm pretty surprised
a lot of the value yet. Yeah, okay. And I get it. But, the value late I didn't really love from the Eagles. But they still did a good job. I mean, Mekhi Lemon, to get him at 20 is great. My only concern there is, do they even have enough volume in their passing offense to really maximize what Lemon's going to bring to them? Eli Stowers, I absolutely love him. The path is clear there after a year or so. He's going to be their number one guy. So, again, good. They're restocking their weapons with youth and talent. But to me, I wasn't a big fan of the Markel Bell pick, the tackle out of Miami. He's massive, but he's not Jordan Mailata. He's closer to Daniel Fa'alele than he is Mailata. And I know that's harsh. He's not as bad as Daniel Fa'alele was, but he's not Jordan Mailata. I get people are going to immediately make that comparison. Oh, 6'9", whatever else. And he's not Jordan Mailata. And I don't see him growing into that type of prospect. Cole Payne, a backup quarterback. Okay, sure. Kind of a gamer type. That's raw, whatever. But then anything after that, it's just kind of whatever. Micah Morris, no, not doing it for me. Then you're in the 240s and beyond. And it's just, if you get one player out of that, that's fine. You like that? You like that guard pick at 207, Micah Morris?
No. Bernard, you forgot about, I don't know how to say his first name, so I'm not going to try.
Oh, you are. It's not you are. It's Bernard. Yeah, they got the guy, the freak athlete,
this is
the
international
team guy
that makes those guys work.
I think the NFL puts in a call and it's like, all right, look, we got to have this guy drafted so we could put it on TV and all that other stuff and start talking about it. It was like that was a programming favor they did the NFL late in the draft. Like, yeah, cool. It might work. And everyone's going to do the same thing. Well, Jordan Mailata was, raw and athletic. It's not the same. It's just not. But yeah, anyone would like that lottery ticket. Okay, cool. But it's not going to do it. I look at this class and I like 2 picks. And then it's a bunch of just darts, and it didn't do it for me. I liked them; they were fine for where they were taken, but nothing stood out as like, whoa, this is fantastic value here, or this is setting them apart from others in that same range. It was just kind of 2 really good picks, and then standard, which is fine. It was a good class, but compared to I just think the East as a whole drafted really well.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, maybe I just see it different because, again, like being the Packers fan, I like when a team says, okay, I know that pass catching is a big need for us. We need to open up this offense. And you say, it's not necessarily just about like, hey, there's, 15 targets that are opening up. Let's go add a guy that's going to get 15 targets. It's more nuanced than that. And again, it's like you have Devonta Smith and now you add Mekhi Lemon and you add Eli Stowers to kind of make up for what you're going to be missing with A.J. Brown. And I think that there's a lot there. Those are 2 players that I really, really liked. And in this offense, I think it makes sense. I think Stowers is more of a pass catcher. Okay, this is one of the best pass blocking teams in the NFL with their offensive line, right? They don't necessarily need that guy to be the best blocking tight end. They also still have Dallas Goedert, who's decent at blocking in his own right? You can use him. I do like it a bit more than you. And again, it's like, I don't think you win in the first couple rounds, but I don't think they lost, right? I think Lemon and Stowers are good football players, and those guys are gonna make their names known. I had Washington as my worst, and honestly, I didn't think it was particularly close. Okay, like Sonny Styles, again, you and I both talked about Sonny Styles as the physical being of what you want at linebacker, but when you watch the film, he's still not a true linebacker, right? He's a safety convert who plays the position like he's a safety convert, where he doesn't take on blocks extremely well. He's not overly physical at the point of attack. He tries to guess it a lot of times and ends up over pursuing. And those are real concerns when you're talking about picking a linebacker top 7, especially on a team that is brutally missing some other positions that are extremely important, like edge rusher, right? When a guy like Reuben Bain was on the board. So of course I'm going to be lower on this than you are. And then Antonio Williams in the third round, that's your next pick. And I didn't love it, right? Like I watched his film. To me, he just doesn't jump off the screen. He's not somebody that to me is a difference maker. He's a guy that you could put in a room. If you have a room of really good guys, I think this Washington team has Terry McLaurin and a whole lot of nothing, right? Like it's a whole lot of names behind him. This is just going to be another name. I don't expect it to be anything special. After that, I actually had two favorite picks. I had a tie. I do think Kaytron Allen is an absolute steal in the 6th round. Like that is absurd that he fell that low. Could be a personality thing. It could be another thing like you were talking about where maybe he's just not a guy that like he's going to make the Underwear Olympic Hall of Fame, right? He's not going to be that guy that runs a 4.3 and it jumps out of the roof. Like that's not him. But when you watch the film game in and game out, like this is a really good football player. And I think he complements what they have really well in that running back room. I also think that that's how you should fill your running back room. Like that is how you fill a running back room, right? You don't take a guy 3rd overall when you have other needs on your team. You take him in the 6th round and you get the most out of him until you figure out the rest of that room. But that's really it for me. They took a center in the 6th round. Just don't think that's going to be an impact player. There wasn't a major, grade on this guy going into the process. Then the quarterback out of Rutgers in the 7th round, it's just like, does Jaden Daniels really need a rookie backup? Like that's when you get a guy that's more of a vet, like a Tyrod Taylor, go back up Jaden Daniels, right? That's what you want for a young quarterback. You don't want some kid out of Rutgers that you may end up dropping, right? It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me the way that they did this draft. A team, again, that had a lot of holes on its basically all around.
Well, here's the thing, Chris. Well, here's what I like about it, right? Well, first off, I'm more ceiling guy. I get it. So when they draft guys with tools like Sonny Styles, like a Joshua Josephs, who has the explosiveness, the size, the speed, but isn't necessarily refined, I'm going to like that, especially at pick 147. I think you could look at the Commanders' first 3 picks and go, it took a lot of toolsy guys with upside. And then in their second half of the class, particularly with Kaytron Allen, they took just like, hey, certain just football player, like you know exactly what you're going to get. I thought it was a pretty nice blend and complementary. Now, obviously, the upside guys have to hit or else then it doesn't really matter. But I like the blend. I think they did a good job of that. But it might take 2-ish years or so for that to really sort of bubble up and bear fruit because these are not day one guys. Like the day one guy in this class is Kaytron Allen, and they're trying, and like it might be Antonio Williams by default, but that would be a by default thing because of the room. Whereas Kaytron Allen is just, he's got to be a day one guy because that's just the type of player he is. This also just harkens me back to, this is probably going back, 2-3 years now, whenever it was during the contract dispute. And we both said like, hey, Debo, maybe you should just kind of make nice with the 49ers and just kind of keep this thing rolling because it's as good as it's ever going to get for you. And we saw what happened once you left that Shanahan system there. So just a note, that was one of our very early episodes, one of our originals. So this just leads me to that. And I think that's why you rely on Deebo Samuel to be something more than he is. And that leaves a hole. And now you look at your room, you go, Terry McLaurin's pretty old. Deebo Samuel's 30 anyway. We have nothing else there. Now we do have to rely on an Antonio Williams who, coming from an offense that wasn't really that great as far as prepping him for the NFL at Clemson, might have to have a very big role. It's not something you want, especially with a young quarterback still where you want more dependable targets for him. I do agree. They don't really have that for Daniels right now. So they're kind of being force-fed or kind of, thrown into the fire a bit earlier than maybe they should be. But in a vacuum, I did like the picks.
Okay. I told you I wasn't doing the worst pick. Did you have a worst pick in this?
Oh yeah, it was Markel Bell. I mean, he's huge. I don't want to keep talking crap about him. But yeah, I think the hype because of his size and his landing spot, people are giving some unrealistic comparisons to Mailata, and that's just not what he is. If he becomes a backup for you, that's great. That's a win. If he's a backup for you for 4 years or what have you, that's great. He's got a plus trait, which is his size, but please stop heaping these ridiculous comparisons and expectations on him because that's not what he is.
Okay. All right. Let's jump to the NFC South. And I'm going to start this one off. And I'm going to go with New Orleans. A little bit of a shock because I didn't love them taking the risk on an often injured receiver when they already have an often injured receiver in the room, right? So, like, little concerning pairing Chris Olave with Jordan Tyson. But what I do like is getting your young quarterback help, right? And just understanding that the most important thing for your team is your quarterback being successful. In their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks, they went offense 4 times. So Jordan Tyson in the first, Oscar Delp, the tight end out of Georgia, in the 3rd round. And people talked about Oscar Delp. I didn't love the film, but apparently, like, he was supposed to be the replacement for Brock Bowers. That was supposed to be like, doesn't miss a beat, takes off and does everything well. Dude, nobody's Brock Bowers, right? Like, we know that now. But it doesn't mean Oscar Delp can't be a good football player and help this offense. Then you go guard Jeremiah Wright in the 4th round, and then Bryce Lance in the 4th round. You don't have to love Lance, right? But when you look at what Christian Watson was able to do coming out of North Dakota State, you see similarities in their game and that big body frame. Again, it's just offering something different. If Chris Olave is going to be your catches the 10 passes, Jordan Tyson's going to be your, big catches and makes big plays and explosive plays. Maybe Bryce Lance is just the take the top off guy, but it's a bigger bodied guy, and that's something different, and I really like that. And then they go back to wide receiver with Berrien Brown out of LSU in the 6th round, and they close it off with another Iowa cornerback, TJ Hall, and it's been a lot of good coming out of that Iowa cornerback room. So I'm thinking that's a good risk to take. To me, this was a very complete draft class. They also had, 8 picks. I like that. I like adding depth. And this is a team, again, like, that always needs it. The only caveat I'll say, Ray, is like, I've liked New Orleans draft classes like 3 or 4 years in a row, and they haven't really worked out. So personal preferences, I like it. It's just maybe the coaching and the player development needs to be a little bit better in the office. It's not a me issue. It's a them issue.
It's never you. It's never you, Chris. I watched the film. First off, I am flabbergasted that the Saints were your favorite draft, not the other team that I'll get into. But I'll just touch on real quick. I don't know how you cover Berrien Brown. Like, I watch Berrien Brown play football, and I'm like, this guy is a nightmare to cover. Like, you can't really cover him. I'm just shocked his output wasn't more than it was in college. I know there was a transfer in there and so forth, but, like, that's a tough ass cover. Like, Berrien Brown, if he's just kind of just being that jitterbug in the slot, kind of in the short and intermediate game, he's just a pest, man. He's a pest. So I'm excited about Berrien Brown. I feel like I'm glad you touched on him because all everybody talks about is Jordan Tyson and Bryce Lance when they talk about the Saints draft class. I'm like, hello, Berrien Brown's right there. He's right there. He's a part of this too. He should be a part of this. So pure skill wise, I think he should have went higher. But again, there's so much that goes into this process that we're not privy to, but pure film, he was better than the 190th pick in the draft by far. But dude, for me, the Buccaneers were my favorite draft class. And I'm shocked they were not yours. I almost didn't pick them as my favorite because I was like, Chris is probably going to pick these guys as his favorite because they drafted Ruben Bain 15th overall in the 1st round. Fine. Okay, that to me is
fine. Don't say fine. That is the best pick of the entire draft.
No, it was Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs might have longer arms than him. I'll actually, maybe you could look that up real quick. Compare the 2 arm lengths for a safety versus a pass rusher. But no, yeah, I think that's the range because, again, I am scared to take physical exceptions in the top 10, top 12. That's scary. 15th, you're in the middle of the round and you still have a huge need and all the other true prototype sure things are gone. Yeah, take Ruben Bain. And that's what they did. So I think it's a great pick for Tampa Bay. Josiah Trotter getting one of those. Again, we talked about the depth at linebacker in that day 2 range and how many good linebackers there were. Josiah Trotter was another one. So they go back-to-back defense and really address that front and address that need. I think it's a great job there. Josiah Trotter fits the bill for them there. So now they're building sort of the front, the spine of their defense, doing a great job. And then Ted Hurst at pick 84. I absolutely loved it. Again, we mentioned him as like a sleeper a couple months before the draft. His stock really took off as we were heading into the final weeks pre-draft, and rightfully so. So to get him at pick 84 in the 3rd round, I think is phenomenal. His physical skill set is going to complement Emeka Egbuka and the other receivers that they have in that room. Baker's going to distribute the ball, get that ball to him downfield. They like that. I think it's a fantastic fit for Ted Hurst. Keontae Scott, the age and kind of the positionless sort of nature to his game were some concerns, which is why I didn't really love it when he was being talked about in the second, early third round. To get him at pick 116 is fantastic. I think that's a great value. Again, going back and shoring up that defense, 3 out of their first 4 picks, actually 4 out of their first 5 picks on defense with DeMonte Capehart. Billy Schrouth, guard, perhaps a depth guy, but again, you always take, I like just taking those swings on the offensive line late in every draft. I think they did a really good job there. But again, I think they got great value for all 4 of their first 4 picks of this class. All 4 of their top 150 picks, they did a great job in. So I can't find any fault with that. And to me, that puts them in number 1 in the division.
It's good. It's definitely close. Ruben Bain, again, I think he was the best pick in the draft. The second and third round picks, maybe I disagree with you a little bit. I think there's decent value there, but Ted Hurst, I didn't have as high as maybe you did. But I see kind of like, is Chris Godwin going to be a part of this team in the future, right? Like, and do you want to start replacing those guys in the aggregate by just bringing in bodies at the receiver position and seeing what works out? It makes sense to me, but this is a team that's gone receiver like multiple times in every draft in the past few years. So I just think they have a lot of bodies, and I'm worried that Ted Hurst gets lost a little bit in that shuffle. And again, I didn't think the end of that draft was as good as New Orleans was. But again, I've liked New Orleans every year, and it doesn't really work out. So we'll see. I will say I think Atlanta was clearly the worst draft class of this group. So didn't have their first round pick. We know that they traded it last year for the edge rusher that now will not probably be playing football this year. That's you can't make up for that, right? You can't win in the first round, but you could sure as heck lose. And they lost it before the draft even began. Avion Terrell in the second round. I know people see him very differently. I know, like, for example, Bobby loves Avion Terrell. I wasn't a huge fan of him. I think he's physically limited for the position at the NFL level, a little too overly physical, where he can get a little grabby. I think, pairing him with his brother is pretty cool. It's, obviously it's everybody's dream. But to me, I don't know if the player really matches the value, and that's your first pick of the draft. Zachariah Branch. I do like Branch. I think he's like pretty cool gadget player that can do a lot for this offense. They're going to need that, right? Losing kind of Darnell Mooney and kind of having to transition that receiver room a little bit. It adds something different than a Drake London and a Kyle Pitts. So I like that. I could see him actually becoming pretty valuable down the line. So to me, that's a good pick. After that, I just don't know if anything really sticks out to me. They get Kendall Daniels, linebacker, in the 4th round, defensive tackle in the 6th round. They also just didn't have a lot of picks, right? And when you don't have your first round pick, you at least want to just trade back as much as you can to get more capital. They really weren't in a position to do that. Harold Perkins Jr. in the 6th round, kind of positionless, right? Like too small to play edge rusher, but that's his best position. Can he play linebacker at the NFL level? I don't know. Is he just a special teams guy? This is a team that to me didn't get better this year, in the draft at least, and that's concerning to me.
So they were my worst pick, or my worst draft in the Division 2. However, they do have the potential to have gotten the best value, because I do think there's a world where, again, Pierce isn't playing this year. Harold Perkins Jr. has an opening for a pass rusher role, and he just takes it and runs with it, whether that's just on third downs or in every sort of nickel package that they're running outside of base, which is more than 50% of the snaps anyway. I would not be shocked if everybody looks back and goes, how the hell did we let Harold Perkins fall all the way to 215 to the Falcons? Like, we all knew LSU completely misused him in the latter part of his career. We should have had the vision and just had this guy chase the quarterback.
So you think this is like a Nick Bonito-esque?
Could be, yeah. That would be a right tail outcome for him. Yes, like a Nick Bonito type pick. It has the potential. If they start mucking around, because the coaches do this. They look at guys and they look at his dimensions and they go, all right, well, no, we have to. He's a linebacker, so we got to work on the linebacker things. No, don't. Every time he's on the football field, he should be moving forward, chasing who has the ball. If that's
Mhm.
running down a punt, it's running down a punt and a kickoff. If he's on the field on defense, he has to be chasing the quarterback. I don't want him dropping back. I don't want any of that. Just have him run and chase. He's a run and chase player. That was when he was at his best. Keep him there in the NFL. Don't overthink it. And it has the potential. Now, it could be that the size limitations catch up to him and it doesn't work in the NFL. At that case, all you lost was pick 215. That's fine. But if it hits, all you had to invest in was pick 215. And now you got yourself an asset that really gives you nice insurance after the volatility, let's just say, of the player that you spent 2 first-round picks in James Pierce at edge rusher. So they were still my lowest rated draft in this division, but I do see potential for that pick. I'll go into I guess I'll transition to my other quote unquote favorite pick, which is Zachy Wheatley at pick 141 to the Carolina Panthers. You had the same, right? I mean,
I had that note, of course.
Yeah, that's fantastic value to get to Key Wheatley that late. This is a ball hawking safety with range. Okay, he's 24, he's older, so you didn't want to take him in the second. But to get him at pick 155, this guy immediately adds a ball hawk to the secondary. If those corners that you invested a lot in can stay healthy, this is a perfect cherry on top of that sundae in the back seven. Hopefully it plays out that way. So that was my favorite pick there. And again, so the Panthers weren't either of our favorites or worse. So just to go through Monroe Freeling, pick 19. Okay, it's rich for me. I had him in the second, but we know that's what happens with tackles. They go earlier than they should. Lee Hunter, 49. That's about right, give or take. Chris Brazel's boomer bust coming from that Tennessee Vols offense. That does not at all prepare you for the NFL, but they love those big, fast guys that can take the top off those defenses with the wide splits. So we'll see what Chris Brazel does there. Will Lee, I'm not in love. I think the long speed is a big question mark there, and I'm not sure you can consistently overcome that in the NFL. I think he will get picked on, so that's a bit of a risk. But Sam Hecht at pick 144 at center, I think they did a good job. I think overall, the Panthers had a pretty good draft. They're probably second best in the division for me. Maybe tied for second. I think the division as a whole did pretty good, except for the Falcons, and they at least got Harold Perkins. So we'll see. But I think the Panthers had a pretty solid draft with a nice mix of boomer bust and yet consistent contributors as well.
Yeah, I really like the Panthers draft, so I'm happy you called it out. People forget how good the Panthers were this past year and how they were like fighting for a playoff spot until the very last minute, right? Like, this is a team that beat the Packers last year, and I think they could be dangerous, and I think they added the weapons you need to complement what you've already done. Like Monroe Freeling, again, like Ikem Ekwonu is out. That's what you need, right? You need to replace him. You need to make sure you guys can carry forward. I think Lee Hunter is good depth. Chris Braswell is just another body for an already decent wide receiver room. Wheatley on the defensive side, great. And you forget, like, this is a team that also added Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips on that defense. Like, this team got a lot better this offseason to a team that was already fighting and being competitive. It's really just, can Bryce Young continue kind of the upward trajectory of his career? Can we look and say he totally redid the script on his career after that rough beginning, right? That's what we need to see. Let's go to the NFC North now, Ray. And I'm gonna start it off, and I think for me it's like easy. This one was easy. Who was the best team picking in the NFC North? And that really was Minnesota. It's not a question. I think Minnesota destroyed the draft. I know people are down on Caleb Banks. Go watch our video where we break down the film of Caleb Banks so you can see how explosive this dude really is. The foot needs to be healthy. I get it. But I think they got a top 5 talent in this draft class at pick 18, right? There's an injury discount there. Jake Golday, we talked about him a lot. Like we said, there's an opportunity that in 2 or 3 years, this is the best linebacker of this draft class. That's something we repeatedly said. I think this guy's special. They get him in the middle of the second round, adds depth to that already kind of scary defense with maybe the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. Dominique Orange at defensive interior in the 3rd round, a big-bodied guy that can step in there and really just be a kind of rotational piece that we like. Just all in all, right? And then they had depth, right? They have like 5 picks after that, 6 picks after that. I don't think there's one particular guy after that I'm in love with, but it's the fact that they had 6 other picks, right? It's depth. It's creating the opportunity, the chance for themselves to find success by picking as many times as they did. So I really did like Minnesota's draft class.
Chris.
What?
The Minnesota Vikings had a good draft. They did, right? I'm going to build on everything you said. I really like Charles Demings, Chucky D, the corner out of Stephen F. Austin. If you haven't listened to like an interview of him, on NFL Network or just whatever, like just find an interview of him from anybody and you're going to be like, oh, this guy's the man. Like you're going to immediately move their draft class up even further. So I really like that. DeMond Claiborne, I think, could fit into the Aaron Jones role, probably year 2 and beyond. So I think they're planning for life after Aaron Jones in the backfield as that sort of speed guy, smaller type as part of a committee. He's not an Aaron Jones level talent, but he can fit that role pretty well in that offense. So I really liked those 2 picks late as well, on top of everything we've already discussed. So good job by the Minnesota Vikings. You did have a very good draft.
You're gonna say the wrong team. I'm just gonna say
the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears got
wrong.
Dylan Thieneman at pick 25.
Yep.
Okay.
Good player.
All around safety. Could do it all. You think he can't cover in man, in the slot, man to man against the fastest, whatever. Dylan Thieneman is an awesome football player. They got him in the late first round, fills a huge need for them at safety. Then they got Logan Jones out of Iowa for the interior of their offensive line, who's another just a solid, tough football player that you can just plug and play to fit a need for them on the interior. So again, I think 2 immediate contributors that are good football players with their first 2 picks. Then Sam Roush, you just talked about it earlier in this episode. Everybody's bringing in those tight ends. We're moving more towards 2 and even 3 tight end sets with that 12 and 13 personnel. Sam Roush, obviously we all know about Colston Loveland over there at tight end, but you bring another guy in Sam Roush, who's a pretty complete type of player. Well, not nearly as dynamic as their number 1 guy, but can slide in there on offensive packages and give you options to, again, the reason for the renaissance, we'll call it, of 2+ tight end packages in the NFL right now is because if we just do a quick 5-year sort of history lesson, right? In response to the Mahomes, like throwing it deep and like Tyreek Hill for Kansas City and Miami, taking tops off of defenses and everything else, defenses shifted to that 2-high shell. They took away a lot of those explosive plays. What are offenses doing now to try to counteract a lot of that? Put more tight ends in the field. So you have to bring that safety back down into the box. Force that safety that's there now to take away half the field in coverage to be a run-stopping player and have to fill in a gap in the run game or be a force player. And then you do have a single high look now if they're coming down into the box, or if they're not, you're just going to run it down the throat of a defense that's gotten smaller and smaller over time. So just because it's a second tight end, they didn't need a tight end, they got Colston Loveland. No, this is a key feature to an offense that Ben Johnson is going to get creative with something like this and use this properly and just, again, force the defense into extremely uncomfortable situations. So I love the tight end pick in the 3rd round, honestly. Then you get my boy Malik. Well, first they got Xavier Thomas, who is kind of another, like, if you get creative with him as a gadget sweep guy, he can do some things for your offense too. But really, Malik Muhammad at pick 124, someone's going to have to explain to me how he was not a 2nd round pick. Like, just tell me something. Tell me that he got pulled by the cops and he had weapons in his car and it just wasn't made public. Just tell me something, because you can't sit here and tell me, well, his frame is a little slight. He was 188 pounds or something. I'm not buying that. That guy is a 2nd round player. So to get him to pick 124 is an absolute steal. Jordan Vandenberg at pick 213, a hyper-athletic defensive tackle who tests off the charts, who I think can gobble up some snaps for you and just be a really high-effort, high-motor player that can splash every now and again. I see the vision there. I really like what they did with their picks, especially because I know Ben Johnson is going to maximize, even though they only had one top 75 pick on offense. He's going to do a lot more than you think with that 2nd tight end pick there. So I'm a big fan of the Bears draft overall.
So I want to agree with you, but I just can't. Okay.
Of course,
Malik Muhammad was my favorite pick of the draft, hands down, or of their draft class of the NFC North. He was. But why did they? And again, I like the players, but why did they have to take Dylan Thieneman? Why did they have to take Logan Jones?
Because he's good. What do you mean? Because they're good.
No, because they had massive holes on the roster at those positions, right? So, like, we don't want to draft for need, right? Like, that's not how we want to draft. We want to draft best player available. You could argue Dylan Thieneman was still that. And that's why I'll give you Thieneman. Logan Jones, was he the first center off the board? Again, I'm saying good football player, like that they took him, but you're filling needs. Cole Kmet is also still on this team, which you forgot. I love Sam Roush. I love Sam Roush. I think it's Cole Kmet's on the final year of his deal. He's going to be out the door next year. Bring in Sam Roush. He's a cheaper replacement for that. I like it. Sam Roush also related to Merlin Olsen. I don't know if you knew that, but to me, that's like the coolest thing ever. Super cool. I like their draft. Malik Muhammad, again, I think they got impact players. And I think there's a lot of drafts that don't draft impact players, and the Bears did. I just don't like that they had to just attack need as hard as they had to attack need. To me, that's like how you lose drafts.
Is he related to Greg Olsen?
Dude, I don't know. Maybe.
Like,
look it up. What am I?
Tight end Olsen? I don't know.
I don't know, Ray, but we may both agree on this, but my worst draft, and it's kind of by like a country mile in this one, was the Lions. Blake Miller at 17, I thought was a massive reach. And it's not because Blake Miller's not a good football player, but getting him at 17 is really, really late, or really early, excuse me. Derek Moore in the second round. Of all the edge rush prospects that you could have gotten, to me, he's not the one I would have taken. And then after that, Keith Abney, okay, getting him in the fifth round, I kind of like that. Even if you don't love him as a player, fifth round, I think it's good to take a gamble there. I don't know. Maybe there's a name on that list that you like, but to me, it's just, it didn't look that good.
Yeah, no, I those are pretty much my notes. Blake Miller, it's just too early. But the thing that I go back to again is like the Lions, like Blake Miller is a Lions player. Like you could just see it. Like he's a Dan Campbell kind of guy. Like he's not the most athletic. He's got some impingements to his game, but he is tough and he started a lot of games, and like you could just kind of picture him like losing a tooth during a game and like, but still like, I just kind of, I see it, but it was way too early for Blake Miller. But he is a Dan Campbell guy. Moore, I liked, whatever. Like he's fine. Moore was a fine pick, but the rest just wasn't really good. Abney was a good pick, and the rest was just, there's nothing that I see that adds value at the slot that they were drafted in. It's just a bunch of just guys. It's just a bunch of Jags. And damn, Blake Miller was 17th, Chris. If he was taken at 27, it would have been too early. But 17?
I'd be okay with it, though. I'd be okay with it at 27. I just don't feel okay with it at 17.
He went 8 picks before Dylan Thieneman. Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
That's way too early. But again, it's Dan Campbell guy. And like, so I think the floor is higher than you would expect for such a reach, because the Lions make guys like that work. So it'll be fine, but I don't think he's going to, people have done the Taylor Decker comparison thing. Taylor Decker was a better prospect, better football player. I don't think his ceiling is as high as Taylor Decker's is. I don't think he's going to have that level of play in his career, but he's going to start and he's going to fit relatively well with that offense. But I agree with you. They were the worst in the division, which leaves the Packers. So if you want to take it away.
I have the worst pick of the division. I didn't do a worst pick for any other division. I'm going to do it for this division.
Mine was Blake Miller, but yeah, sure.
I mean, the Packers took a kicker. They drafted a kicker. Like, you just don't do it. You just don't do it. You don't have to do it. So why would you waste a pick on a kicker? And they did.
Didn't the last time you guys take a kicker, he was like your kicker for like 18 years?
Dude, but you could just get him in free agency. Just sign him.
Can you? I don't know. He might have been. They might have had intel that he was going off the board. I don't even know the name of the kicker, by the way. Like I could look it up right now.
Exactly.
But like
Trey Smack out of Florida.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
No, Florida State was the one where the Aguayos were drafted really early and they were bad. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that there's a chance that the Packers have the worst draft class, but I do like Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. I thought that was a great pick. They have a huge need at cornerback. And again, it's kind of like the Giants. It's like, you're not getting a number one corner, but you're getting a guy that helps elevate the room. And because you're not in an opportunity to get a number one corner, right? So like that made sense to me. Your boy, Dennis Sutton out of Penn State, the edge rusher, toolsy. I think he fits a major need that we have, right? You kind of get to replace Rashawn Gary with a guy that, maybe can be better in a couple of years. Like I do like that. And again, it makes that room a little bit deeper because it was getting real shallow after Gary left. We get the center out of Kentucky, Burton. It's a shot, right? It's a gamble. Don't love it. Don't hate it. It's fine. But we took a kicker. So it is what it is.
You took a kicker. Denied Dennis Sutton, fantastic pick. It really is. He fits the Rashawn Gary role like a glove. If he had come out in last year's class, so he was pick 120, you could probably cut that in half. He probably could have been he would have been in the top 60 if he had come out the previous year. Again, just things went south at Penn State. He was a part of that, but in general, the tools that made him a top 50-ish type of prospect heading into this past year are all still there. The explosive strength in his legs, it's backed up by his testing numbers. He's a super strong player. I mean, really, and it's a great pick for that role. To get him at pick 120 is phenomenal. Damani Jackson is not good at football, but he has all the tools. So to take him that late in pick 201, sure. Just see if anything is there, right? Over 6'1", nearly 200 pounds. And he's very athletic. He has he had the recruiting pedigree, but all throughout college, it's you were waiting for him to become good at football as opposed to good at everything else until the football game itself is played. And that never happened. So he might just be off the team in September, but maybe it clicks. In the 200s, I'm going to take that chance. So I don't mind a pick like that, even though, he's just not good at football right now.
Did you have any more notes before we move on to the NFC West?
No, I think that was it. Yeah. My favorite pick was Malik Muhammad, and we touched on Denied Dennis Sutton. Denied Dennis Sutton, super cool guy, held my, oldest son. So there's that. Super cool.
That is cool. That means
his biceps the size of my head, by the way. He's a freaking house.
It's pretty cool. Your head is the size of a golf ball, but it's cool.
Yeah, that is true.
So NFC West, Ray, I have a bit of a hot take on this one. I do not have a best team. I thought they were all on the bad side. I literally don't have one written down because I just didn't. I didn't like any of them, and I'm willing to have a debate on that if you try me.
So do I have to read you my note then?
Yeah, tell me who you had as the best.
I swear to you. Here's my note. NFC West. Okay. Favorite draft? None. Period.
Let's go.
I guess Seahawks. Period. That's my note on the favorite draft in the NFC West. I don't think any of them are particularly great, but if I guess the Seahawks, so I guess.
Yeah, Bud Clark, the safety in the second round, I'm okay with. Julian Neal, cornerback, Arkansas. This is a team that'll get the most out of a player like that. I don't hate it. Jadarian Price in the first round, I had him as a day 3 guy, running back. I went back and watched him again just to be to challenge my priors. I think he's a little bit better than we gave him credit for, but I still don't think he's a game-changing running back. And you took him in the first round. And let's go back and look at the Chiefs when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I understand he had kind of some off-field stuff, some mental health issues. So maybe it's not fair to make that comparison. But when they made that pick, before any of that happened, I didn't love Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I felt like it was a reach. But everybody, including me, concentrated on this is a Super Bowl team that's adding a running back to an already great team. This running back's going to be incredible, right? And it just wasn't, right? It never was. There was never a moment where we were like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks like a good pick. I go to Jadarian Price, and I kind of am feeling the same feeling. I didn't love the film, but he's going to the Super Bowl winning team. The offensive line's incredible. There's not much competition there for him. But what if he's just not that good? And you took him in the first round. I don't know. I didn't like that pick. I think they could have got him later. I think they could have gotten Katron Allen, like I talked about, right? Or a guy, Emmett Johnson. You're telling me Emmett Johnson on this team with Zach Charbonnet doesn't make more sense than taking one in the first round. Just my thoughts.
I don't disagree with you. Here's the thing. You went back in time to the Chiefs. I can go back in time a decade ago. Actually, I think a decade ago. Darren McFadden in 2015 was a top 5 rusher in the entire NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. He was like 30 years old. He had been injured every single year of his career. Went to the Dallas Cowboys, and behind that offensive line, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, I think Lyle Collins was there too, Ronald Leary, the best offensive line, bar none, in the NFL. Darren McFadden was not good, but he was still top 5 in the entire league in rushing just because he just got the carries. I'm not saying Jadarian Price is not good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Jadarian Price is not good. And he's just going to get all the carries behind a good offensive line in a great offense because there's really no one left. He's going to be really productive. So I think regardless of what you think of the value of pick 32, the Seahawks are going to make it look better than it is just because of everything that's around him, which is the nature of running back. Because objectively, then the next year, the Cowboys took Ezekiel Elliott, and he looked phenomenal. That was objectively a stupid pick because Jalen Ramsey was on the board, and they had a horrible secondary at the time. They were covering Antonio Brown with like dudes off the street that same year. But, Ezekiel Elliott got the ball 25 times a game, and so he made SportsCenter. So it was like, oh, look, and he had all these gaudy stats, and he was great. He was a very good player in a fantastic situation, so he produced fantastic results. But the Cowboys were a horrendous secondary and still below average defense and didn't advance to where they should have. So running back you can objectively reach on a running back, but it looks good. And that's the thing. This is going to look good.
Maybe.
You're right. It might not, but I think it's going to look good.
Okay.
But it could still, it would have looked good with 6 other guys in this class.
Yes.
It would have looked good with 6 other guys. You didn't have to take one at pick 32, especially one who doesn't have a pass catching pedigree.
Correct.
He had less than 10 catches every single year in college. I think it was 16 total in his career or something. And we saw the film, he caused turnovers by dropping the ball in the middle of the field. So yeah, the value was poor, but it's going to look good. You buy a car you shouldn't have bought. You should have saved that money. You should have put it in an index fund or something. And instead you bought yourself a really nice car. To everybody on the outside, it's going to look real good. It's going to look like you got it all figured out. But it could have been better.
So I'm going to name the 2 teams I don't have as the worst and talk about them a little bit before we go on, right? Because let's stop ripping apart a running back who is probably going to be good, like you said. But the 49ers, I don't have as the worst. They had some interesting picks, right? I think the sleeper of the draft could be Stribling at the end of the day. The receiver they took at the beginning of the second round. You watch him, there's flashes of DK Metcalf style football. Ole Miss, it's not just a helmet tag thing. It's the way that he plays the game. The only thing is they add Mike Evans, they have Ricky Pearsall, they add Christian Kirk. How much field time is this guy going to see? There's a chance a lot, right? There's a chance that he goes out there and because he is this kind of crazy athlete, he does make his way onto the field. I just don't know. And then after that, Romello Height on the defensive line, they needed defensive line help, fine. But then you go and add another running back, Kalen Black. They've done it every year, drafted the fast 3rd round running back. It's just not an impactful pick at the end of the day, right? And then after that, there's just not much that I am super excited about. Any notes you want to make before I move to my other team that's not the worst team?
Well, I had the Seahawks as my worst draft in the division, actually. 49ers as my worst draft in the division. I did.
Okay.
And
I think you're discounting it because, again, I think they picked 10 times, and there's going to be good things that come from that, as opposed to the teams that picked 5 times. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. And I think Stribling fits because he's a strong blocker. He's got a big body type. We've seen what Shanahan can do with guys like this. So similar to the Seahawks, it's going to look good. I think it's going to look good. I also don't think so. Unlike the Seahawks, I do think Stribling would have went at some point in the second round. I don't think it was a massive reach in that you could have just plucked anybody in that role. So I think if you look at pure consensus boards, Stribling went a bit early, but I think the fit is there and it makes sense. If that's their pick in the second round and they can't trade back 4 spots or whatever, then fine, just take him there. That's your guy. Romello Height, I'm hit and miss. Like, he's an older prospect. I like him. I'm not sure I love him as like the anchor to a pass rush, but it's probably the best they could have done. Yeah,
third round.
Prysock, I don't know. I love the length, but I don't like corners that have a lot of penalties. It doesn't typically get better at the NFL, where guys are even tougher to keep up with at the top of routes. He could probably be a starter in the NFL, but I don't think he'll be anything more than an average starter. I don't see the home run in this draft or the wow player. Not that every draft needs a wow player, but the 49ers kind of need a wow player. All right, their wow players are out the door. You got the Achilles with Kittle, and he's coming back from that at tight end. McCaffrey's getting a year older. They don't have those wow guys anymore. So unless Stribling becomes that and then the rest of these guys fill in, I think this is another draft where they don't they sort of inch their way up, but it's not enough is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So
yeah, it's hard when you like miss your Super Bowl window, and it just feels like the 49ers missed, right? And now you're stuck at the back of the drafts and your talent's getting older and you can't replace it. It's a hard place to be.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. They missed their window and they're paying their quarterback.
Yep. Ray, the Rams. So I don't have them as my worst team either, but it's interesting, right? So people are super high and low on the Ty Simpson pick. I think just like, I'm not going to try to be smarter than the Rams. Everybody's wrong on quarterback, like every single time. They took him in the teens. Again, you can have the argument, if Aaron Rodgers got a big receiver instead of Jordan Love, could he have won another Super Bowl? You can make that same kind of comment here. But if Ty Simpson ends up staying with Sean McVay for, the beginning of his career, I don't have any doubts that Ty Simpson will at least be competent, right? And it's a good place to be for him. Max Clare, fine, right? I kind of like Max Clare. It's fine. But only picking 5 times in the whole draft. I understand this is a great roster, but that's tough, right? Like, that is tough to swallow. But my worst one is the Cardinals. And to me, it's not particularly close. You tell me you're going to take a running back 3rd overall. I think Jeremiah Love is better than Ashton Genty. We talked about that. Like, I think he is a special running back prospect. But this is a team that does not need a special running back prospect right now. They need cornerbacks. They need safeties. They need linebackers. They need edge rushers. They need defensive interiors because they haven't hit on those positions, right? The offensive line has holes on it still. Chase Besantis in the 2nd round, phenomenal pick. That's actually my favorite pick of the NFC West. It's my favorite pick. I liked him as a end of first round type of guy. They get him at the beginning of the 2nd round. Think he's a starting player immediately that upgrades that offensive line. It helps the running back. It helps the future quarterback. But Carson Beck is not the future quarterback, and you just lit a 3rd round pick on fire, right? You're putting a 1st round pick on a quarterback next year. You have to. Why take Carson Beck? Why do that? It's not helping Jeremiah Love. It's not helping the offensive lineman. It's not helping Marvin Harrison. It's not helping all of these. If you look at the Cardinals, Ray, they have true number 1 receiver potential, true number 1 tight end potential, true running back potential. Like, the weapons are there for the future quarterback. You could have used that 3rd round pick as another offensive line piece. You could have helped the defense. Why take a quarterback? It just made no sense to me. And again, I was probably a lot farther down on Beck than maybe other people were. But if they got him in the 5th
far
round,
down you were, it was not far down enough. No, that's fine.
5th round. I'm like, 5th round is fine. And then after that, it's like, okay, Reggie Virgil, wide receiver out of Texas Tech, whatever. I don't know. I don't think there was another impact player that they drafted, and Carson Beck was the last opportunity. That pick was the last opportunity for them to really get an impactful player.
Yeah, listen, Carson Beck is not a franchise quarterback. He's just not. The red flags that he has don't lend themselves to getting better in the NFL. He's an actual, oh my gosh, we had to put the game in his hands, and he threw another stupid interception. This is just what he does. He's going to be 25 years old before Thanksgiving. So he's backup quarterback age, but I'm sorry, I don't think he has a backup quarterback temperament. And it's backup quarterbacks need to sort of approach the game in a in a sort of way. Carson Beck is not that. And that's okay to have that competitive fire and all that. That's great. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not there. I'm sorry. Carson Beck is just not it at quarterback. And you took him in day 2 on a team that has holes everywhere. And then you took a running back in the top 5 of the draft when everything else around him is broken. And by the time you fix it, he's going to be up for a second contract and his prime is going to be over. Their approach was all wrong. Now, you've heard the whole the owner wanted Jeremiah Love. Boy, I hope that's not true, because that should not factor into the equation as far as excitement and buzz. That doesn't matter. It's April when you make this selection. Just make the pick that's best for the team, because the games are played in the fall, not on YouTube in the spring. So I hope that's not the case. But again, Carson Beck, I understand, hey, you want to take a swing on a quarterback. But I think Carson Beck has very clear indicators that he is not a franchise quarterback. And that's not the type that you take a swing on. You don't take a swing on older, turnover prone, and kind of a hothead. That's not what you take a swing on. It's not it. There's probably one guy screaming out there going, that kind of sounds like Brett Favre. No. Talent is not in the same galaxy. So that's just not the pick you make at that spot when your team is in this condition. So you threw away a day 2 pick. You just did, on top of taking a luxury pick when the foundation of your offense was just not there. So yeah. It like we said, there was no favorites in this division. And
No.
As I talk through this, I try to find something that I like in each team, and I just can't do it for the Cardinals. Chase Bisontis, tough kid. I think the first half of his career, he was kind of let down by some of the strength infrastructure at Texas A&M, which is part of why they underachieved for so long. And I think that's getting better under their new coach, by the way. So I think, there's some upside there and untapped potential with Bisontis on the interior. He's a tough kid. I think that could work out. But they needed a whole lot more than just coming out of this draft feeling good about a guard and hoping that a running back can, I don't even know, do what for this team, because he's not going anywhere in this division.
Yeah. And I mean, I think theoretically, right, you can pitch to me that the Cardinals can sign a right tackle of the future, and then their offensive line is in a good spot. Not a great spot, but a good spot, right? You have 2 tackles. You got the guard now with they signed, I can't say his name, Sumayelo from he was on the Steelers, your boy.
Yeah.
And then Bisontis, right? It's coming together. You have the receivers, right? You have plenty of receivers. You have Trey McBride. You have the running back. You can insert the quarterback if you end up with the number 1 or 2 pick next year. And the offense, at least, is functional and potentially good, right? But your defense has nothing, right? And you took a luxury pick at running back instead of helping your defense get there. I kind of go back and forth on that, right? I get it. I always say, build the foundation for your quarterback. I just don't really know if a running back does that for me.
No. The running back is a really nice, it's a fantastic coat of paint. Boy, it looks nice on the outside, but you still don't have a foundation. You can't live in the house. So it's just not, it's not good team building. It's not good team building. Jacoby Brissett's holding. I'd rather up Jacoby Brissett's salary and guaranteed money by $8 million or $10 million, because he is making peanuts, than use up a day 2 draft pick on Carson Beck because, we don't have anybody to take snaps and there's uncertainty with Jacoby Brissett. No. Add a day 2 talent to your roster and spend a little bit of money to get Jacoby Brissett back in the building. And you're going to figure out your franchise quarterback in the next year. That's the plan anyway. Right. Don't throw away a day 2 pick in the meantime. It's terrible, terrible team building.
Couldn't agree more, Ray, but that's where we're at. And I think we're done with the draft for a little while. Actually, I say that. But there may be a supplemental draft happening, Ray. And I think we need to do a little film review. We thought we were done with class, right? We're not done with class. We're getting a grad degree right now, buddy, for the supplemental draft. I think that's what we got to do next. I think it'll be fun. Any closing remarks?
No, I can't believe we ended like the last standard NFL draft segment. I'm pissed. So no, I got nothing else. This is why some organizations are the way they are. And that's it. That's it. That's all I got.
Everybody, like I said, go to the App Store, download All 22 today so you can start playing with your friends. Drafts are happening now. This is the time to do it. It doesn't get easier. Set up your league, get it going, get it ready to go, get this draft underway, because it really is the best fantasy draft that's out there, the most fun in my opinion, and the opinions of many others. And thank you for tuning in. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X at all22_PFF, and give us a review wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts, and have a great rest of your day.
Let's go.